was given to Al Bogan. He oversaw that project when the gentleman came in with the ground penetrating. He did the entire part of the concerns behind the columbarium, and also as you enter the west gate, all to the left to see what we had for clearing. And I'm going to turn this back over to Al because there's one other aspect that I want him to just highlight a little bit onto. Al, give it over to you.
All right. I was there the whole time the guy was there, and he did a tremendous job. The guy was really accurate. And there's nothing behind those columbariums that we have to worry about, nothing at all on behind it or to the left. And he did do a lot more in that Fenif area, and we did find 2 graves over there that were not marked. And I spoke to you about it, and Don and Barbara, and she had the markers made up, and I put them in the location of the 2 graves that he found that had absolutely no markings.
But just listed as unknown.
Yeah, exactly. Listed as unknown. We have no idea who's buried there,
Yep.
but there are people buried there.
Yep.
But as far as that area behind and to the left of columbariums, it's clear there's nothing there.
And
so we're okay to go
with the future project.
Exactly.
And Jim, we've been contemplating, we've discussed this prior, and when Al and I were at the grounds last and it went down, we're going to put a road behind the columbarium, so that's going to help encourage the resale of the back portions of the columbarium, and also help access in for families that might be visiting, but if there's another service or other folks there, that gives an additional place for cars to go through, and to also pay their respects to their loved ones. And that we're going to go forward with a discussion and actually get it implemented as we go forward. Don, I think we talked about using the millings. I don't know if you have any more coming up.
We're actually running low on milling. We'll see what we can do. That's what we do with the rest of the roads. The other roads will make the millings when we can buy that stuff.
Yep. Okay. So in the spring, we're going to try to get your staff over there to actually develop that road. Mm-hmm. And you with your equipment that you site out and lay it out the way you would be comfortable to see.
Yep. Yeah, we'll look at trying to do that in-house, or the worst case is we'll do the same thing as we did before the weekend.
Yep. Does that sound good to you, Al?
We'll try to accomplish it with DPW.
Sound good to you?
Yeah, it sounds good to me. The only question I have is, I'm looking at the map now and in the columbarium. So that area from the columbarium to the fence that borders the other cemetery, that's all clear, correct?
Correct.
And my question is, are we going to create a road between that to the fence area and go all the way around, or we're just going to do the 3?
What the intent is that we're going to, where we spoke of originally, the phase 4.
Yeah.
That phase 4 to the right of phase 3 is going to be held off, because that's going to be the access road coming behind it.
Okay.
And as the road will come back out onto the other main drag that goes down to the west gate, we're going to change the position of maybe phase 4 and 5 to be more in vertical instead of horizontal.
Yeah. And that could be up the road. As you come around the corner, you could be up the other area. We could put the other 2 and go out that way. I just wanted to know if there was going to go there towards the fence, or was it going to go towards the old cemetery?
It's actually going to be towards the rest of the body of the cemetery on the left. If you're facing the columbariums, it's actually going to, phase 4 is going to be almost to the left of phase 1.
Okay. Yep. And that's what I was asking. I can't say thank you enough. And they did a great job. And again, Al, we owe you big time.
He's been a busy boy.
Yeah.
Yes. He's retired.
But it's been greatly appreciated, because we've tried to do this as a tag team together, and there's been days that I got tied up in my work, and he's been able to cover both he and I, and it's been very much appreciated. And that kind of work and commitment is important that we all do together, and that's what we've been doing. That's why we've been so successful. Am I right, Jim?
You're right, but again, you guys been carrying the load, and I apologize. Hoping to be up there as soon as the snow melts.
Well, we can't put a blame on anything except for this COVID-19 has adjusted and readjusted our lives, and it's almost going on to a year, and hopefully 21 is going to be better than 20, because I haven't thought year 2020 was going to turn out this way. So we go forward, we think positive.
Yep.
Any other questions or thoughts or comments on this
You guys are
bullet
good
point?
with that discussion. You probably have the map up. You could probably share it. You guys know what we're talking about. You're all good with what we're talking about. We're sort of going to extend the road that's alongside the Ukrainian cemetery, swing it around behind the existing columbariums and then back out onto our road that's parallel to the Ukraine cemetery. That's the game plan.
Yep.
Okay, good, excellent.
Our next bullet point is Scott Cemetery Civil War Veterans Monument Repair, which J. Rowe took care of. And-
Taken care of as far as I know.
Huh?
As far as I can tell, he hasn't taken. I'm not sure if he's gone out there to even pick up the monument. So.
Well, put it this way.
He was going
J.
to.
Rowe is going to be doing the repair
Right.
as he's done in previous times for us, especially for these old monuments. He's been very good for doing it. And that's for status
report.
report.
To do it, I just haven't had a chance to remind him or see if he doesn't get out there now before the snow flies, then we'll have to wait for some melt, which is actually forecast.
And just a reminder that as of December 1st, we're going to put the chains across the gates of all our cemeteries that we oversee, because again, our opening and closing dates is December 1 to April 1. And after this storm, it would be very difficult to ever try to access into those cemeteries in my eyes. And I think Don would agree to try to bring in plows to try to open it. We did it one year and it just wasn't advantageous. It wasn't safe. So our next bullet point is going to be our graves and niche sales and activities and monument reports. Barbara, would you be able to run that one?
Niche purchases for the fourth family, the Brissette family.
Yep.
Niche instruments, rates, daily punctures in the fourth family.
Yep.
3 purchases, 8 begin family.
Now, just a quick question on the Gannon family. Did all that thoughts were resolved about the front and the rear and the amount of monuments?
Yes.
Okay, so they do understand the front and the back. It goes along with the lots itself. Okay. And Jim, just so that you're aware of what we're just getting confirmation on, one of the families bought 2 4-grave lots side by side, and they added a question if they could have had individual monuments, and it was explained to them that in those sections, in the section that's in front of the columbarium, are designed for 4 grave lots, 2 on one side and 2 on the other, so that the stone becomes a center point of the lot, and they share the stone, and each side has their family's names on them that are in that side of the lot. So this family just had a question, and that was the resolution and explanation. Al's actually the one that brought them down and showed them several different locations, and that's where they chose.
And is the stone going to be larger, or is it going to be the same size? Or?
When we did the stones in that section, just to remind you, the base is a specific size base, and the die is the upright portion. The
Yep.
maximum size that it can be in to fit to the next lot next to it. So it can't be any bigger, because it's still going to be 4 grave lot and a 4 grave lot to the left of them. So that each families are going to have 1 stone on the 4 grave lot, 1 stone to cover the next 4 grave lot.
I understand what you're saying.
All in like similar to the maximum size that's listed on in our book.
All right.
I think we only have 1 spot left over there for sale.
Right. And we're getting to the
So we're
point,
gonna
we're going to have to
open
stop.
up that front, one closer to the columbarium.
And Don, not that you need more stuff
No,
on
that's
your
2 spots.
plate, but you have those discs, and one day we can just take a quick run down and measure it out.
Yep.
We can start marking that out.
It's not going to be small.
No, it won't be till next year.
There's 2 4 grave spots left.
But we got to plan ahead, because it can happen real quick. Because then
Yeah.
once we start, we're going to have to go into more resales in the front section closest to Center Street. And until we develop that other section to the left of the west gate,
Yep.
we're not going to put anything for resale or sale up in that point until we start developing that area, because we're going to have too much equipment going in and out. That needs to be, and I don't want to have to start to go around families' lots to try to open up what we're doing eventually.
And we still got the right-hand side. The only thing is, you know, we want to remember we might have access to the far right, which is going to the house 120. You know, we didn't do that ground penetrating, but we did look at that land, and it can be leveled up for future. I won't be here, I think, but I'm just saying, you know, maybe start planning on the right-hand side, going towards number 120 house, using some of those lots with the thought of a road, cutting in the front or whatever and going around.
Jim, just so that you understand, as we were talking about the ground penetrating that was done with Al, and
Yeah.
that, we did that whole section that you're referring to. Where Mr. Fenniff is buried, a whole area that we talked about redeveloping, to develop after it takes some of that fill out.
Yeah,
Well, there's an actual west gate that's in place already. They actually did the ground penetrating almost all the way up to that fence by Newland Ave, backside of Newland Ave.
that's fantastic. I know the west gate's there, and that's why I'm saying for future development,
Yep.
you know, maybe we should,
So we
next
did,
meeting, you know, maybe or a couple other meetings, maybe start talking about thinking about opening up that west gate. And, you know, if we got a big project with fill around, that's all.
yep, that's what our game plan is, and that's why when the gentleman came out with the ground penetrating, we had to pay for so many hours. We got the most use out of his expertise as we could in that cemetery, and that's what while he was there, it was the best time to do it.
Fantastic.
Alright.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts or questions, because you weren't attending the last meetings? And this way, if you have any input, because the next portion of our meeting is going to be setting our next meeting, which will be on April 1st. Excuse me, in April. We're looking at April 7th, 1 p.m. in the RCAM building, and I'll just ask you to take a look to see if that fits everybody's time
We
frame.
can go the next-
God willing, I can get out of this state and be back home. I miss it terribly, and yeah, I can be there April 7th, God willing.
We'll just be back from vacation on April 7th, so
Sure.
2 weeks before maybe.
Do you want to try to go back out to,
Later in April, would be good. Give us time to make sure we get anything close to.
you want to do the 14th?
I think the 14th is probably.
How would the 14th be, Jim and Al?
Okay.
14th is good too. I'm gonna be probably up there else. I mean, I'm gonna be up there. So hopefully, God willing. So I don't think I'm coming back down to October, November when the snow starts flying. So, yeah.
Well, I'd like to ask for a motion for our next meeting to be on April 14th at 1 p.m. and to be held at the RCAM meeting room. Ask for a motion.
Make that motion. I'll second it.
I'll make a motion to schedule our next meeting for April 14th, 1 o'clock in the Arcane meeting.
And Jim's,
Yeah,
I'll second it.
okay. Any other further discussion? Not hearing any. I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? 3-0. I just have to thank everybody for an unbelievable year. To get through this year has been a challenge for everybody, and I appreciate all the hard work, Barbara, that you do, Don, that you do, Al, Jim, our whole crew, DPW, Parks and Rec, everybody that supports. We work as a team, and we're surviving as a team, and that's most important. That's why we get through everything that we do. When we set a goal, we get the goal done.
I have one more thing
And
after you're done.
go ahead. Nope.
It's the question. Scott Cemetery, by the columbariums, we have 4 flagpoles with flags on them. Last spring, we had to replace 3 of the flags because they got destroyed with the wind and the rain and the cold. Would anybody object to me taking those flags down and just storing them for the winter and then putting them back up in the spring? So they don't get tore up again?
I think it's a very,
I'll leave the front one up.
Yeah.
There's one close to the road,
Yeah.
but the 4 in the back, we had to replace 4 of them last year. 3 out of the 4, I should say.
My opinion is the cemetery, unfortunately, is closed during this time frame, and this will help make them survive for a couple of seasons instead of replacing them every 6 months.
Actually, I'll take them down today.
So I'm in agreement with it. Jim, is that all right with you?
I have no problem with it. The only thing I was thinking is some people might stink because the veterans might be in the columbariums, and not to see an American flag there is kind of, you know, but I have no problem with the logic and the cost savings.
Then I'm going to put a thought into everybody. Why don't we take down the town, the town and the state flag, leave the American flag up? If we have to change an American flag, we change the American flag. And I appreciate what you, this is like war that we're in. I can tell you that at my home, my business home, I have put the American flag up, and it's been up ever since this COVID started. Because we're all Americans and it should be there.
And I agree. That's my only thing is a lot of people died for our freedoms, and not to have a flag. I know we're covering our butts because we have them in the front, but
No,
it's less than a half a dozen of that. Whatever you like to do, I'll be glad to support.
Good point. I don't think we need to put it to a vote. I just,
No, I'll take
Al's
down the
gonna go take them down in the next
they don't
day or
get
so.
destroyed.
Because if they don't get down today, by the time he'll never get back there unless he's got snowshoes.
Yeah.
What snow?
What's snow?
Thanks.
Couple inches, they say, a couple inches.
A couple inches, a little drifting.
An hour, 4 hours.
Well, I do wish everybody happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah to everybody. And we'll be meeting back on April 14th, 1 p.m. here in the Arcade Meeting Room. Please join our meeting if you can. Look forward to next year's. I'm going to ask for a motion to close our meeting.
Make a motion that we close the meeting. It's suspended till April 14th, 2021, at 1 o'clock at the Wilford Arcan Room, meeting room.
I'll second that.
I have a second. Not hearing any discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 3-0. Thank you. Thank you to everybody. Jim, thank you for joining ours. And I'll be taking this off here momentarily.
Stay safe. Have a Merry Christmas and a happy holiday.
Thank you too, Jim.
Okay?